So, um, you might be wondering, um, there's kind of a third voice missing, which yeah, that there is. Um,
Good chat. Good chat.
that'd be old papers. Um, that'd be Peyton. Um, there have been some complications. To say the least. There's some stuff going on.
Mhm.
So, and we didn't want to miss our debut for season 2.
Season
So,
2.
exactly. So, we figured we would go ahead and record without him, as rude as that sounds.
Don't care.
Ooh. Um, um, we're just gonna go ahead and do this, and PP will hopefully join us for the later episodes of season 2.
Later season.
Alrighty. um, but anywho, if you couldn't guess by the title, this is a video where we discuss the meaning of life. Okay.
Age-old
Now,
question.
I was gonna say the age-old question, which I have the true answer to this. So does Jordan,
Hmm
and so does Joey. I don't even think about that.
Joey.
Got a plank Joey. Doesn't he love that
Hmm
the movie? Yeah. Anywho, which is kind of somewhat not really what our podcast is named after, but it's besides the point. Um, obviously we don't have one definite answer of this. That would be impossible. Well, I mean, we do have one, but you know what I mean. We're going to. Oh, I touched my mic. We're gonna look over this age-old question over multiple sources, including a good handful of different philosophers and what different religions have to say about this.
I don't know
Um,
really how we would fit PP into this video if he was here. We could maybe do like
he
the
likes
history of
science.
like
He could.
maybe.
I was gonna say he. Oh, that's not important. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, he's not here, which is okay. We miss him, but you know he'll be back later. Okay, he'll be back, but hopefully. Anywho, I say we get started. We are gonna go get started with Jordan, who is discussing
Oh
the
yeah.
different philosophers' point of views on the
Because I'm
on the meaning of
so
life.
philosophical. I'm just so yeah.
Jordan is a philosopher.
Oh,
If you didn't know,
gotta
Jordan is like one of the big 10. He's one of the four horsemen of philosophy.
if you rage about the thorns on the rose bush, that's it's not good. But if you rejoice because of the roses on the thorn bush, that's very good. Okay. So these I've kind of got them in like groups. And I also have the exact quotes for all of them except for two. We'll get into those later. And we will do our like own thoughts at the very end. I think maybe I don't really know. Um,
Maybe, maybe.
I'm gonna start with let's start with Aristotle. So this first group is essentialist perspectives, like predetermined meaning. The next group will be like self-created meaning. It is like life is like what you make it out to be and stuff. And then the last group, the pessimistic and like alternative perspectives, like the sad stuff. But like those are kind of we'll save that for later. But Aristotle first. Let's watch. Yeah, look at their
Oh,
quote.
hold on. I have a little something before we do
Mm.
this. Didn't Aristotle marry his niece?
Um, he might have.
I I that's something I just kind of thought of, but
Mhm.
sorry to interrupt. That was just in the back of my mind, but yeah.
Hmm.
Let's get
So,
into Aristotle's
oh
quote
wait,
on
wait, we're forgetting something.
why can't you trust doctors?
Why?
They're all quacks.
See, like quack quack. Pretty funny, pretty funny. Okay, Aristotle. Well, I'm gonna
What do
read.
you call
Oh.
shh. We always do too. What do you call a musical bear?
What?
Drum roll, please. A
Oh.
baritone.
Ha ha ha! It's funny.
Thank you for the soundboard. We need to start implementing those more.
Oh yeah.
We'll put the quote on the screen.
Oh, okay. I mm, mm. Happiness is the meaning and purpose. Happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end to human existence. So he believes that um the end goal in life is to be happy, and make others happy, and that's like, you know, the his goal in life, what he thinks the ultimate goal in life is to be happy. Because happy's pretty good, pretty good. Um, yeah, that's about it. He's a pretty, normal dude, wants to be happy. Let's get on to
So
Plato.
he hold on. So Aristotle kind of believes that meaning of life is just finding your joy and your happiness, your time in the living realm. Am I mistaken?
Sure, like a poet, like a poet. Let's get on to Plato. The unexamined life is not worth living. Um, which kind of means that, or what's like
So is that all he
commonly,
said?
yeah,
What is no, is that his quote? The
yeah,
unexamined life is not worth living.
yeah, but you can like kind of, analyze that. He believes that the true purpose of life is to attain the highest form of knowledge, like just gaining knowledge to believe like your surroundings, like ultimate knowledge. He wants to know how the world works, know why the world works, um, and so yeah, he wants like ultimate wisdom and knowledge. Um,
That's very nice, Goopy. Who is our next philosopher?
Epicurus. Curus. Um, let me wait. Uh, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Epicurus. Epicurus. Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you now have was once among the things you only hoped for. So, you know, yeah, he taught that like the meaning of life is to maximize simple pleasures, um, achieve peace of mind, and minimize physical and emotional pain by living, with friends and stuff. Which I mean, I feel like that's kind of a shallow meaning of life. Um, but what I think is a bit shallower to other people. But yeah, it it's good for some people, but I feel like it needs more. Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thought, which is kind of interesting. Interesting quote. He believed that the meaning of life is to live in harmony with like reason and your own thoughts. He thought that like fulfillment comes from helping your community, practicing self-control, and accepting whatever fate brings. He was a nice guy. He helped people. He was, yeah, chill guy. And now we're getting on to the self-created meanings. Jean-Paul Sartre. I think this guy only died like he died pretty recently. Jean-Paul Sartre. Because the picture I have of him is like fully colored and like an actual picture.
Yeah, he died within the last like 50, 40 years.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, pretty recent.
Modern day philosopher. Maybe not modern. You know.
I mean, more modern than the ones you've mentioned for sure.
Mm-hmm. Life has no meaning. Meaning like meaning before. Yeah, it is up to you to give it a meaning. He kind of believed in like self-fulfillment. Do what like your like ultimate dreams are. Just believe in like kind of what
So
you want to believe almost.
live your life, pretty much,
Yeah.
is what he's saying.
Live your
Just
life.
make life about life. I like that. That's a good one.
That's a pretty good one. But we'll get on to better ones. In my opinion.
Yeah.
Ooh. A lot of these guys have kind of funky names. Soren Kierkegaard. It has like an O with like a dash in the middle. Yeah. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. He believed in that, like, he's like the father of a lot of like philosophies and stuff. He's actually a pretty like known philosopher. Now that I'm like looking at him, he believed life has no automatical societal meaning. And individuals like must make a passionate personal leap of faith into God to conquer existential dread. So he's like quite the Christian. Yeah, he was a Christian guy. I think yeah, he's quite old. He's not alive. He was like quite quite old. And now we're going into Albert Camus. You will never be happy if you continue to search for what happiness consists of. Which, that's a pretty nice quote. He believed that life, like, life doesn't really need a meaning, but it probably has one. It's like, theism or whatever. He noted that humans desperately crave an inherent meaning to life, but the universe refuses to provide it. But he didn't give up. He agreed that we should embrace this absurdity and find freedom and joy by living definitely and passionately away.
Okay.
Pretty cool guy. Now, Frederick Nietzsche. Ooh, you guys can read that. He who has a why to live for. Wait. He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. So he believed that if you have a why to live, you will always find out how to live. You always
Mm.
yeah, you'll always find out you always will get food. If you have a desperate why to live. And now for the people I don't have
Mm.
quotes on, but probably my favorite of the bunch. The pessimistic and alternative perspectives. Arthur Schopenhauer. I'm not who. He held a deeply sad view, stating that life is driven by a blind, irrational, and painful biological urge called the will to live. Because of this,
Mm.
people create like dread and suffering to find out why they live and how they live and stuff like that. He agreed that
I
peace
gotcha.
is found by dampening it through art, compassion, and minimalist living. It was
Mm.
artistic, man. Alan Watts kind of looks like Keanu Reeves almost. I think
I've heard of him, I think.
probably. Heavily influenced by Eastern philosophies, he proposed that the meaning of life
What?
was just to be alive. He compared existence
Jordan?
to music or dancing. The point of dance isn't
Mm-hmm.
to get to the other side of the room or whatever. The point is to dance and you know,
Mm.
dance.
I gotcha.
Mhm.
Um, I how in God's name do you think this man looks like Keanu Reeves?
His face shape.
His face shape.
Yes, he
He
kind of
looks like more of he looks more like of a mix of like Hugh Jackman and like Jared Leto.
uh maybe a little bit of Jim Curry, or not Jim Curry, but the guy that played in The Mask.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah, Jim Carrey. A little
You
bit.
were close. Jim Curry is like the Indian version of The Mask.
Okay.
Instead of Ace Ventura, it's like Muhammad Mamukbar.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That was my last one.
Oh, of course. All right.
Yeah.
Here's a list of all of the goobs that Jordan has mentioned, and a little summary of what he said upon them. Yeah, I'm getting fancy with this one, fellas.
Yeah.
That's what happens when I edit. I mean, anywho, what? Who said that? I don't even know what you said, Roman. Me neither. Anywho, uh, let's do a little intermission, and we'll get back to it. Do. All right. Yeah, that needed to be included. All right. Are we ready, Goopy?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'll just use like your same sound from earlier to introduce the little thingy. Hello, goober holes. This is the religion aspect of the meaning of life, or the meanings of life. We will be, I mean, I will be discussing 6 different religions. 6 of what I would argue is the 6 main religions, not including like atheism and a lot of Chinese religions. But you have heard of most of these religions, if not all of them. So, I will probably save Christianity for the last, since it's obviously the most popular religion.
Yeah. Oh
We'll
well,
start off
actually,
with
most English speaking
unless
religion,
unless you
because I think Muslim might be more.
No, it's Christian.
Oh,
I think. I think. Yeah, it's Christianity, followed by
mm,
Islam. Um, that's why everybody seems to be Christians nowadays.
yeah.
Um,
And all atheists
yeah.
like despise Christian.
I mean, they do it because it is the most popular.
Yeah.
Nor have I really seen an atheist go against like Islam or Buddhism, but to
I've
each
seen a
their own, I
few
guess.
go against
I,
Islam, but like
he-
just like one.
Here and there, but like most of the people that you'll find have not, I wouldn't say a grudge, but they seem to per se target, which I don't really care. But anywho, we're gonna start out with probably the um lesser populated religions. It is really only popularized in one country, which is Japan, I think. And Japan is like a mix of, I want to say, Shintoism and like Buddhism, maybe. Um, um, yeah, Shinto and Buddhism are the two main Japanese religions.
Mm.
But anywho, we're gonna start out with Shintoism. A little brief background if you haven't heard of Shintoism. Shintoism is s- um, it's the religion where I wouldn't say they per se have like set gods in the sense that like Christianity has God and Jesus and Holy Spirit, and Buddhism has Buddha and whatnot. Um, but Shintoism more believes in the thought of every part of nature is like a soul per se, or some sort of variation of what I said. But that's why they like really love mountains and whatnot. And they also believe in like if you ever see in plenty of video games and like pop culture references, there's like those like red and black like gateways that you see. I'll put a picture up now. But that's Shintoism. And this is very brief, but it's what I have, you know. So Shintoism believes that life is a creative journey where individuals will just use their free will to carve a path, per se. So kind of like the one guy you mentioned, that like
Mhm.
French guy or whatever. Um and those like those gateways I told you about, they're I think they're called divine crossroads, and this is how they have interactions with the kami. It's girl math. But I
Mm.
don't know if I'm saying that right, if it's kami or kamiyamiya, haruken, it's one of those.
Arms.
Sorry to those wearing headphones, but yeah.
I had.
Um mhm. Um they also believe that death is like a form of pollution, per se. I'm not sure how that really plays in. And the prolongation of life is desirable and a way to achieve victory for the divine spirit. Okay? And a central concept is purification, which is both physical and spiritual, which is about cleansing the individuals for just the betterment of themselves and self development from spaces and impurities, and ensuring that they have harmony with the kami or the kami, whatever they call it. Um, it's you could relate it to baptism. You could. Not exactly the same thing, but it's similar. Um, and that evil and suffering are part of the divine spirit's journey towards progress, and they're, for say, challenges that the divine spirit must overcome to achieve higher forms of existence. If I'm explaining that well. So basically, in Shintoism, the meaning of life for them, from what I have taken from my research, is that you use free will to carve a path in your own life while also maintaining the purification of your physical and spiritual body. That is what I got from that. Um, while your soul works to achieve higher levels of whatever afterlife they use. Anywho, moving on to Judaism. If thank you, Jordan.
It's really loud.
Yeah, that you can turn that down, Jordan, just a bit. But sadly enough, we don't really have that much of a Jewish population to certain event during the 40s, which we might do an episode on or something relating in that time span. We might. We'll see. But anywho, Judaism, which is, like the one of the main religions in like the Middle East and Israel and all of that. Now the goal of Jewish people is fairly simple. What they believe in is that, oh, now that I think of it, they have like a lot of laws. Oh, I didn't even think about that. How many laws do they have? They have a whopping 613 commandments, which
Wow.
is a whole lot. Mind you, for say Christianity has 10 commandments. But the reason that Judaism has so many is because they get like really specific with them. And it's like a lot of do's and don'ts, pretty much. But anywho, the goal of the Jewish life is to embody the Torah, which is their holy book, or in other words, their equivalent to the Bible or the
Quran.
trying to think, the Quran. That's what it was. The living word of the living God addressed to all creation through the life and experience of Am Yisrael, which is the Jewish people. This Jewish insight teaches them that as Jews, they have the opportunity to take the wisdom of their tradition and make it real in the world in which they live. So, taking their traditions from their word and just their history and spreading it all about, something that people hate when Christians do. In other words, spreading the gospel. And what they say and what they do is consequential. But by making the spiritual and ethical insights of their Torah, which is the foundation of their lives, they transcend their human limits and they allow themselves to connect with God, and they can join their people's prophets, priests, kings, heroes, and sages as one of those who live and teach by the Torah. Pretty heartwarming, if you ask me. It's pretty sweet, But basically, they believe that you need to live by the Jewish laws, not necessarily all 613. That would be extremely difficult to do.
It's easy to remember.
To remember, and most like modern Judaism teachings, I believe, don't even follow by everything. There's like some stuff that they either I don't want to say push to the side, but I don't know, I'm not educated enough for that. But you get the point. They just want to spread the word of their Torah and eventually connect with their religion's heroes and whatnot in heaven, which I think is pretty cool. I like that. Not necessarily what I believe, but yeah, you get the point. Anyway, let's move on to Islam. This one is interesting for sure. Islam, which it's an interesting name, but it's the people that you refer to as Muslims. So I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. But the Quran which is the sacred book of the Islamic, religion, they discuss the meaning of life in there, and it's voice crack. And it says, in God's voice, we are not playing a pointless game when we created the heavens and earth and everything in between. We created them for a true purpose, but most people do not comprehend. What is this purpose? Another passage in the Quran gives this answer, okay? Quote, I created the jinn, spirits, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and mankind only to worship me. What does it mean to worship God in Islam as a Muslim? And thus to live in according with the meaning of life in all Islamic contexts. The meaning of Arabic word of the Arabic word Islam is, quote, submission to God's will. And as a Muslim, a follower of Islam is someone who's committed to their own will to God. Since the Islamic God, which would be referred to them as Allah, is the sole creator and sustainer of all things already submit to him passively without realizing it. So in some subconscious, I would assume your subconscious, what I'm taking from this is giving their life to Allah. And thus Muslims, specifically with a lowercase m, but God has given humans a special, quote, trust, which is fitra in Arabic, to be Muslims, servants of God, in the full active sense of the word. There's not all that much I really take from this. I don't purely understand it. But from what I do get from this is that you're passively submitting to God without even realizing it. And but God gives you this, say, trust to live according to the Islamic religion. That's at least what I take from that. These two kind of go together, so I'm gonna talk about these two in a linear fashion. First up, we have Hinduism. For thousands of years, Hinduism has thought that the meaning of life is to achieve moksha, which means liberation. The Hindu term for spiritual enlightenment. For us, it's not for standard English. It's not really to be taken in a spiritual way. But you know what liberation means. And Jordan's playing Fling to Climb. Have fun with that.
I'm not.
Anywho. Oh, yeah. All living beings are, what they believe is that all living beings are continuously reincarnated in different bodies in different circumstances. Thank you. Different circumstances depending on how much good or bad karma they've accumulated in the previous lives and the current one. So, if you didn't really understand that, I'm gonna try and kind of explain that. So, per se, a new soul is born, okay? And they just kind of poof into the world, however you believe that system works. They just poof, no birth, no, they just poof. I'm just kidding. But a baby's born in a soul and whatnot, and that soul is temporarily bound to that physical body, and your soul kind of has karma as like a credit score in a way. That's what I take from this, at least.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the simplest words I can put it. But, if you've ever played Fallout, you'll know that karma's useless and it doesn't do anything. But in this sense, it is useful. And depending on how much good karma they've done, so how many good deeds they've done, how much just good they've done in the world, compared to how much bad they've done, will determine how privileged or how well their next life will be. So if you were a pretty good person, you're probably going to be living close to royalty. But if you were a pretty bad person, you're probably going to end up like a flea or something. Not that good. But anywho, like I said, some of these positions are more favorable than others, but in the end, they're all hopelessly marred to pain and suffering because it's just endless cycles of reincarnation. But moksha, thank you.
Mm.
Moksha is the quote liberation from the cycle. And it is technically possible to achieve moksha after you die, but the Hindus believe that you're supposed to do it while you're alive, which is kind of the whole point of being alive in the first place. But to merely sit around and wait, or how Jordan would word it, to mooch
Mooch.
and just kind of hope for moksha after death would be a colossal waste of time and a rejection of the meaning of life. So you're basically just mooching around hoping you'll, one of these centuries you'll get moksha. That's what I'm getting from this. And thus certainly it most likely will not lead to moksha after death. Rather, your best way is to do it in life, becoming I think this is a Jivan Mukti, something like that, which is a quote liberated living being. And the rare people that do attain this supreme goal are venerated and seen as saints and sages. So, what Hindus believe is the meaning of life is that they want to achieve this so-called spiritual enlightenment and liberation. So they go throughout their life trying their best to do good deeds in the name of their religion and what they believe in. And depending on how much good karma they've so much collected or done, somewhat like an honor system. Um, that depends on what their next life will be, or if they are to become a Verso saint. If that makes sense. That wraps up that one. Here is the one that kind of tags along with this one because it's really similar to Hinduism, at least so I think. Buddhism. So what Hindus call moksha, Buddhism calls nirvana, a pretty mid-band, not that good. There's better bands. I think it's a bad band. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Send it over the border. But yeah, I'm not gonna get into that. Nirvana's okay, but they're not great. There's better. But Buddhism's equivalent to moksha is called nirvana, right? And it's literally the same thing. It is their term for spiritual enlightenment, and literally means quote blowing out or extinguishing, and refers to the quenching of the three quote fires of craving, aversion, or fires of craving, aversion, and delusion that characterize normal existence within the world. And just as the attainment of moksha is taken to be the meaning of life in Hinduism, so is the attainment of nirvana is taken to be the meaning of life in Buddhism. Or the Dhammapada, or something like that, I don't know how to say that, an early Buddhist text that serves as a lucid, poetic introduction to the Buddhist perspective on life, is quite blunt about this. Quote, nirvana, say the Buddhas, is the highest goal. So, essentially, easiest term I can put it, take what I said to Hinduism and just slap nirvana on the cover. That's as simplest as I can put it, with like a few more, pick berries here and there, but it's essentially the same premise, right? As for their meaning of life, but you get the idea.
Wait, so what happens whenever they die?
Right. Whenever they die, I believe Buddhas also get reincarnated. Let me see. Oh, yeah, thank you.
Finish.
Let me check. They call it rebirth rather than reincarnation, so you can get like one rebirth and get like 1.5 times karma every time you rebirth, pretty much. And then you start out with like more money. I'm just kidding. It's essentially it's from what I take from this as the meaning of life aspect, it is the same thing. All right, well, Goop is not responding, so I will get to the last part, or last religion I have on the meaning of life. Oh, and he just left our call. Okay. He'll be back. He'll be back. Anywho, my last, thing I have to say about this is Christianity, okay? The most populated religion on the face of the earth. What is this? Oh no, my. That is a voice message that Jordan has just sent me. Let me play it again, make sure it actually picked up.
Oh no, my PC.
Alright, if it didn't pick up properly, I will edit it in later, but anywho, back on track. Christianity, the most popular religion. I don't know why I keep milking that. I promise I'm not trying to be rude, but it's just it's a lot of what it finds. But anywho, the quintessential statement on the meaning of life in Christianity comes from a historically famous passage in the Gospel according to Saint Luke in the Bible, which is Luke, just one of the four Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And it says, during this, it doesn't say this, but the explanation. During the course of Jesus Christ's travels among people on earth, he entered a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. She had a sister named Mary, which do not confuse with um uh Jesus's mother and Mary Magdalene, completely different Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to what he was saying. Mary did this. Mary was sitting at the Lord's feet. But Martha was distracted because she had she had some tasks. I'll put the actual quote on the screen. I'm just reading it to kind of help clarify. And so Martha came up to Jesus and asked, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her then to help me." But the Lord answered her, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her." Now, what you need to take from this is that Martha let Jesus into his home, or let Jesus into her home, and Martha's sister, Mary, not to be confused with Jesus' mom or Mary Magdalene, began to sit at the Lord's feet and listen to what he had to say. And but Martha was not doing this. She was doing chores or whatever she may have been distracted by, her tasks, right? And she saw this, unfair, went up to Jesus and said, "Hey, I get that y'all are, doing some stuff, but like, do you not care that my sister is kind of just leaving me hanging? Like, I'm doing all the chores. Tell her to help me." And Lord tells Martha that, "Martha, you're focusing on the wrong thing, Jesus is standing right in front of you and you're worried about dishes or whatever. Just, take a breather, right?" Um, but we can take from this is that the meaning of life, the one and only thing in life that's truly necessary, is to sit at the feet of Christ and listen to him. And what this means in traditional Christian answers is that the quote, one thing necessary in life is to pursue union with God, which is how the Christian tradition typically refers to spiritual alignment or enlightenment. And yeah, that's pretty much what you need to take from that. So Christianity is more so about not leaving all the stuff that you have on hand and just like not so much where you just kind of sit there and be a couch potato all day, but you're listening to Jesus, so it's okay. That's not how it works. Still do your tasks, still do your chores. This freaking Lego will not sit still. Do your chores and whatnot. Um, and so on and so forth. And you need to join with God in union by, you know, um, either A, you can follow all the Jewish rules, which would be extremely hard, or you can give your life to Christ, which there's a couple ways to do it. The most popular one being like the symbolism of it mostly being referred to as baptism, which isn't necessarily needed. It's certainly not needed, but it's just a visual and physical like kind of translation of that, I guess. And a lot of people do believe that it physically washes off your sins and spiritually and whatnot, but I'm rambling, right? So here's all the religions we've covered, and just in case you forgot, here is all the philosophers and what they had to say about it that we have mentioned in this video. And Jordan is a little absent. His computer is kind of bugging out, but here is his outro now. And yeah, let's just go for it. And his kind of take on the meaning of life.
Okay. So my meaning upon life is that there is no meaning to life. We're all gonna die one day. The sun is gonna explode. The earth is gonna crumble. The human race is probably gonna be extinct within 100 years at least. Yeah, all that jazz. And so just do whatever you want. Have no regrets at all because in the end, nothing truly matters. Have fun. Do what you want. Do what you believe in. But don't regret anything because there is nothing really matters in the end. So there's really no point into stressing about anything. So yeah.
Anywho, thank you, Recording of Jordan. Personally, I believe that the meaning of life refers to one book that also had a movie adaptation. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy perfectly explains what the meaning of life is. And the meaning of life is 42.
If you like this video, hit the like button. Especially if you like it without paying for some weird reason, hit the like button. If you like us, hit the subscribe button. But if you do hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell